this is Isabel Letzler. So today I wanted to talk about the length of the resume because I think a lot of people are still confused, especially for Switzerland. So I thought it'd be a great topic to discuss today. So I want to give you 3 tips on how to manage the size of your resume. So in general, the tool to remember or the guideline to remember is that a resume is a marketing document. So it should definitely sell your profile. That's what you have to keep in mind. So whenever you're thinking, what should I put on my resume? Ask yourself, is what is written on this resume selling my profile in terms of content? When I read my resume, there's this link up to the job that I'm applying for. So that's the first thing. So tip number 1 is to look at what type of seniority you're in right now. So if you're a young graduate, let's say less than 5 years, we'll put it that way, a one-page resume is enough. So I still see a lot of graduates with 2 pages, 3 pages. Definitely a one-pager should be enough. The only thing that you need when you're a young graduate is to have a descriptive of where you went to school and maybe a couple of internships. What's going to sell you as a young graduate is the names of the companies that you work for. Because when you're young, usually you don't have a lot of experience or you have basic experience. So what the companies will purchase is who you worked for. So I always tell young graduates, try to focus on big names. So if you're in accounting, for example, focus on the big 3 audit firms, the big names, work there for a while, get your experience, and then people will purchase that from you. Or if you're in consulting, same thing, go for the big firms. You will learn how to do the job and you will be very, very marketable. But just remember, again, names of the companies that you work for. Try to maximize one-page resume where in a quick scan as a recruiter I can see what's important about you. So that's number 1 is if you're a young graduate. If you're a more senior person, I will say more than 5 years, a 2-page resume should fit also. So it's going to be more and more challenging, especially if you have 10, 15, 20 years of experience to fit into 2 pages. But remembering what I said in the introduction, it's a marketing tool. So if you have 20 years of experience, the first years, maybe in the 90s or whatever, you're going to summarize that very, very, very much. So maybe you only have the title and the name of the company, which is what I recommend. And again, if there were jobs that maybe were 3 months here, 6 months there, you want to regroup all that within one theme. That's what I've done on my resume. I have a lot of consulting and short-term experiences in the beginning of my career. So I've regrouped everything. Maybe you call that short-term consultancies and you just list what you've learned in those consultancies. So again, it's a marketing tool. It's what have you extracted from this experience rather than list, name, title, etc., title, header, and company name, etc. So this is a little bit how you present your profile. I know it's not something that's obvious for a lot of people, and that's why people like myself exist, because we're there to do this work with you, to make sense out of all this experience and to turn it into a marketing tool. So again, depending on your level of comfort, this can be a challenging job to do. But again, I'm giving you the guidelines for more senior people. More than 2 pages is not going to be very marketable for recruiters because they don't have time to read through more than 2 pages. Probably most of the time they only look at the header of the resume anyways. So you just have to keep that in mind. So don't focus so much on putting a lot of information. So that's number 1, is really younger, 1-pager, more senior, 2-page resume should be enough. Tip number 2 is what is the most important thing on the resume? What is the one thing that recruiters look at in Switzerland on your 1-pager or your 2 pages resume? The one thing that recruiters look for in Switzerland is basically how you match to the job description very quickly. So that's why I insist on having a header title. This is going to help recruiters find out, okay, do you match, very easy type of work, and giving them the details that they need to do their job. So you want to put those personal details out there, your name, your address, whether you have a work permit or not, your nationality, your family status. This is all personal information in most countries, but in Switzerland, it's a checkpoint. So if you don't have that for the recruiter, you're complicating their lives, because then, they don't know if they can get your work permit. So it's going to bring doubt in their mind, and out of doubt, they may eliminate your profile because they just don't know. So it's better to give them the information. Now, if it's a big company and they're used to recruit worldwide, the nationality part is not going to be an elimination point. But if you're not telling them, then they don't know, and then they might eliminate you because they're not sure what to do with your profile. So those checkpoints are important, the personal details and the header. Also the photo, I would highly recommend to put a photo there, and a professional one, obviously. So those will be the checkpoints of the recruiter. So make sure you don't bypass, or you don't, not pay attention to this. I will link up another video where I talk also about resume writing, which is going to be important for Switzerland. And number 3, again, remember, recruitment is very, very basic. You just need to match. It's a matching game. So make sure that in your resume, again, as a marketing tool, you have all the right keywords from the job description. So sometimes people think too much about the whole thing. I just tell people, just look at the keywords on the job description, insert them in your resume. Again, you don't want to insert words that don't represent you. But for the most part, it's very much generic. If you're a team player, and companies want team players that are motivated, that have exceptional communication skills, again, probably a lot of people can fit that bill and can really see themselves in those criteria. So it's not lying to the recruiter to actually copy these words into your resume, especially if they match you. But what happens sometimes is that you may have the same thing but written in a different way. So I'll give you an example. For team player, maybe you have in your resume connects well with others, or just make sure you use the same word. So transform whatever you have into what's in the job description, as long as it suits you. So because the online tool that they use, the applicant tracking system, will search for those keywords. So you just want to make your life simple, basically. Don't try to find, very fancy words that maybe you researched and you're happy to put on your resume, but they don't match the job description. So do this work of very basic copy paste, match the keywords, and then you have more chances to go through the tracking systems, that your resume gets pulled and gets selected. So I hope this was helpful. Again, watch the video I will put as a link on resume writing in Switzerland. It's a video that was actually quite popular since I made it, because I give a lot of information on what should go into the resume. I will talk to you soon.